Joe, can you just sort of sum up your feelings for the last 2-3 minutes when you sort of see the guys close to the line and Harry finds a way to win the match here?
Yeah, but some of it was frustration and some of it was relief, to find ourselves in that situation after we built a nice lead early in the game, and then I felt we got a bit loose, and they've got some fantastic broken field runners, but there was no surprise to us because we knew they had them and we knew we'd have to be better connected than we were. So, it was certainly a relief when Harry got over and dotted it down, that's for sure.
Joe, as you said, we were there, first 35 minutes, you said you were controlling the game. Is there something particularly you think you just went away from that allowed Fiji to build that momentum and not go out to that 8-4?
We missed a few opportunities to really put scoreboard pressure on them. There was one 5-metre line out which seemed incredibly straight to me, but suddenly you don't get that score that we got, and they get the relief there. Then we get out in the second half again, trying to come back into the game. We get a 5-metre line out, and there's a ruling that goes against us as well. So, we've got to iron those out to be super accurate, because if you don't nail your opportunities, you don't get to build that scoreboard pressure. And as long as they believe, there's a way for them, because they're so athletic.
Harry, can I just ask you, Wallabies captain naturally tried, obviously there was some disappointing performance, but that moment right there, let's listen to how special these two leading up most. We would have been a childhood dream to do something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I probably would have liked us to be ahead a little bit earlier than that and win a little bit more comfortably, but I was just happy with our grit at the end to get a few back-to-back penalties, maul them, and then find a way to get a win there. Was awesome, and it was obviously a nice finish personally too.
Joe, you've only got 2 weeks before the Lions. What's going to give you the most sleepless nights?
There's probably a myriad of things. We didn't quite feel that we got reward for our scrum. I thought our scrum was really good. Didn't quite get that reward for the line out, as I mentioned, but there are things that we'll be working really hard on. Obviously, we got pulled back for 2 forward passes, and that's a skill execution thing that I think we need to take responsibility for and be more accurate with, because if you put those 4 things together, you're already in a lot stronger position in terms of the controlling the result, at least.
Joe, 2-part question. Noel what's the update with him? And secondly, are you going to strongly consider bringing back an experienced 10, knowing that it got a little bit shaky out there, and we've seen that a fair bit over the last couple of years?
Noah's he was, first question he asked me was, did we win? So he was still very much focused on the game, and he appeared to be in good shape. So that's the first thing and most important thing. The second one, we obviously haven't selected our Lions squad. This was one game that sat before that, and we'll sit down and consider our options. But if you have a look what Ben Donaldson did, I'm not sure that he didn't do exactly what he was needed to do. He put us into the corner. He did what was needed to make sure that we were in the game at the end and got the game done. So, I think we haven't been together for 6 months, and to have 5 trainings and to be seamless would be an expectation that I hoped for rather than believed would immediately happen. So now we have another short runway to try to improve from where we were today.
Joe, you seem to stretch them on the edges there in the first half in particular. Both Harry and Max found some space. Was there a little bit more patience needed there for recycling instead of perhaps going to the boot?
Yep, I think so. That's probably part of the frustration as well, just that we could have controlled more of the game, particularly in that first half. In the second half, we were chasing them a lot of the time. So, we didn't really have the same opportunity. But games are going to ebb and flow, and when things are going your way, you've got to make sure that you make the most of those opportunities.
Josh, felt like the Fiji camp felt like the Wallabies might have been using this as a warm-up test, or it was framed that way, and the attention wasn't entirely focused on Fiji. Did you feel that was something that happened during your preparation? Was all eyes on today, or inevitably were people already looking for?
Yeah, I think it is inevitable to a degree, and while sometimes you try to talk yourself into something and try to narrow the focus, but inevitably we were watching the game last night with the Waratahs playing the Lions. We watched as a team, when the Reds played them as well. We've got players from both those teams involved in the squad, so there's skin in the game there. So, I've no doubt that that might leak in, but I certainly wouldn't be looking to use it as an excuse. You've got to be good enough in Test match footy to win the moments you need to in the game that's right in front of you.
Joe, did the way the Waratahs attacked the breakdown and their speed, their line speed, did that provide a sort of template for how you think you can attack the lines, and are there any other themes you've noticed over their 4 games? Not
hugely. Obviously, I've watched the games, and I know that Faz was disappointed with their aerial game in the first one. He mentioned it, and so that they've certainly appear to have sorted that out. I thought they were very strong in the year, and then I'll be interested to see who plays against the Brumbies, obviously, on Wednesday, because I think shaking down toward the Test match, I think that'll give us a little bit more prediction in terms of who's going to be where, and that will give us an indication of what might best help us to put pressure on them.
And do you intend to water the pitches at the Test venues?
Yeah, it's funny. I spoke to Dan McKellar and Mike Catt today, and they certainly didn't water them. I tell you what did happen though. There was I don't know how wet we got on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday here. There was a weather bomb that was torrential, and at the same time the wind was howling. Great training conditions, although our execution was probably just as good there as it was a couple of times today. So we wouldn't be looking to water the pitch, no.
Harry, from the players' perspective, we get your take on the performance today. Was there nerves? Was there rustiness? Is there confidence still about being able to beat the Lions in the first test?
Yeah, there's definitely some nerves. First Test match of the year, I think everyone was really excited and wanted to put their best foot forward today. And I guess, everyone wants to put their name up for selection in 2 weeks' time, and which probably brings a bit more anxiety before the game. But for us to go out there, we've got to go out there and do a job, and I guess ultimately we did get the job done, but could definitely been a little bit more pretty.
Does it get, when you're playing in a game like that, does it get more anxious as the game goes on, and when Fiji are scoring length of the field tries, that you got to tough it out right to the end? Yeah, definitely. With Fiji, when you get a turnover, they spread it to the width. They were scoring 100-metre tries, and it really just makes you got to look after the basics of your game. We've got to look after our breakdown, our handling, and every time we didn't, they really made us pay. And I guess it's good for us to see how much better we need to get, because I'm sure the Lions can do the exact same as that.
Joe, when you took over 18, 19 months ago, did you think that enough progress has been made to be really confident going into this Lions series?
I'm not a really confident sort of person, so there's not real confidence, but there's a quiet resolve, and that quiet resolve, hopefully over the 3-match series, can build to something that will earn us the support of a very interested group, and it's a great opportunity for us to bring the game back to the focus point that we'd love it to be in Australia. We've loved our week in Newcastle. People have stopped us in the street. They've taken a real interest in the game. They've milled around the team hotel and encouraged players in passing, and you saw the crowd there today. So, if that's a taste of what's to come, I know there's some, that was a small bite, and there's some big mouthfuls to come, but we'll just work away with that quiet resolve to try to be better as we work our way through the series.
Joel, are you able to just elaborate any more on what the concern is around Noah? And secondly, are you able to just try and quantify, I guess, the gap between Fiji, who are maybe an underrated side, and place against the Lions?
It's hard to quantify two different teams, but Noah, I think it was whiplash and his head hit the ground. So, I'm hopeful that that's going to be something that will resolve itself reasonably quickly. At the same time, we're going to make sure that he's okay and that we don't take any risks that we don't need to there. Which is the same with Dave Parecki, who came off with an HIA. So that being said, we've got massive respect for Fiji. I don't know. The memories tend to get short in rugby sometimes, but I watched them play in the quarter-final against England, and there was so little in that game, and then there was so little in the England-South Africa game, and we know how little there can be in games when you don't have your eyes fully on an opponent. And I'm not saying we didn't, but we'd have too much respect for Fiji and the fact that they beat the Wallabies last time they played them, but that the players that they don't have from 2 years ago. Well, I've known Salisi for a long time. Rayasi, he's a hell of a player, and young Vainakolo, who carved us up through the middle, playing. I don't know if you've seen some of his tries for Toulon this year, but they're exceptional. So some of those players. You only have to talk to Pat Lam about Ravovo and he the amount of time and respect he has for him. So those guys are fed back in, and then you've got the very best of what's local, and they always have someone that kind of comes out of the woodwork, and you go, wow, that kid can really play. So stacking them up against the Lions, who are a known quantity of quality and strength and depth, it's hard to weigh them up, but we know just how good the Lions are going to be, and what a challenge that is, and I guess what an opportunity it is for the young men who get to wear the gold jersey in 13 days in Brisbane.
Joe, will you be in touch with Andy, Johnny Sexton, the familiar face from Ireland, or you keep that?
I'm sure I'll have a coffee with him at some stage. I mean, you don't coach someone for 10 years and not have a kind of a relationship with them, and same with coaching with Andy, and and it's one of the things I love about rugby. Caught up with Mick Byrne on Friday, and some of the coaches, and it was great. Even their analyst was our analyst at the Blues in 2007. So, there's so much overlap between people that are good people, and you enjoy their company, and you know not to talk rugby anyway.
Was it spicy that Owen Farrell got a call up, and do you expect him to be playing against him?
No, that's the one thing I wouldn't have any idea about. I haven't really. I'd watched a fair bit of top 14, mainly just Claremont, just because they're my old club. So I haven't really tracked Owen or his performances or spoken to Andy about him. I know him as an outstanding competitor, but those are just. I've got enough tough decisions myself without looking at what decisions Andy's making.
Joe, on the front row, you said this game was so important in the combinations. You had the injuries to Parecki against the early. That must have been disappointing for what you wanted to get out of it.
Yeah, it was frustrating just because we wanted to get some time with those combinations, and you know, that's the nature of sport. You don't get what you want. And so the one luxury probably is that we have time on our side to be able to see how Dave is and see how he comes through the HIA process and see whether or not he will be available for Suncorp. And at the same time, James Slipper got through the game really well, albeit he came off. He actually... he was confused by it himself. He didn't get any head contact. It was his shoulder, but maybe just the impact with the size of the bloke he was trying to put on the ground. He did definitely get a bit of a stinger on the shoulder. So sometimes those things can trigger an alert, and therefore he was taken off, but he was fine. And talking to him after the game, he was fine. Alan Alatoa came through, Billy Pollard, young Zane, Nongor, and Bally, obviously. He was delighted. Slips had to come off for a while because he got to come on for a while and immediately got into a good groove around carrying and cleaning and tackling.
Sorry, guys, one more for Jim Gardner, please, from Newcastle.
Yeah, just on big crowd Newcastle, but on Nick White, the pro family and friends, potentially for the last one of Newcastle. Happy with what he did, happy for him, and did you get what you expected from him?
Yeah, all three. Happy for him. Got what we expected from him. And I thought he contributed when he came on, without a doubt. Made a couple of, cracking tackles there in the width, particularly up this left-hand touch, where there was some big blokes coming down that touch line, and he did really well. He zinged the ball around, and he put that ball into the corner. He didn't quite get the bounce, but he saw the space, put it in there, and those are the things Whitey, he's got a good three-dimensional eyes on the game. So you don't just get side to side. He's looking upfield. He's looking for opportunities, and he's a good leader. Leads himself well and brings others into the game.
Thanks, guys. So we've got the Prime Minister waiting. Sorry.
Would you pitch yourselves as underdogs for this series, and what does that underdog kind of mindset do in Australia? Was that quite a good mindset to have going into a series like this? It's not really a mindset that we've had time to consider even, because I'm sure externally it will look like that. We didn't play well enough today for people to have the expectation that we're going to come bowling into Brisbane and knock the Lions over. But then I'm not sure that expectation was there before today. And as I said, we're just going to have to build that quiet resolve that inch by inch we can work our way toward that.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.